Happy Sunday, everyone. I pray and hope that each of you are experiencing a blessed life. Tomorrow happens to be President's Day, where we honor the birthdays of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, as well as all the other US presidents who served. You know, it's not easy being president, so let's continue to pray for our country's leadership, that they may guide America to fulfill her providential role in history. So last week, we talked about our four fallen natures. Do you remember them? The first one, yes, it's failure to see from God's viewpoint. How about the second one? Leaving your proper position. Third, reversing dominion. And fourth, the favorite, multiplication of evil. Now, more importantly, we also discussed how we can overcome those fallen natures by practicing our original natures. So let's go back to what are those four original natures. The first one is at all times seek towards God's viewpoint. So when you're kind of busy and all those kind of things, then you're in the moment, you're feeling emotions, but always seek for God's viewpoint. How would God feel about this? What does God think about this situation? Second, maintain your proper position as an object to God. So again, you might be going through all kinds of ups and downs, but take a moment, breathe deeply, and regardless of how anyone else is treating you, come back to your position as an object to God. How God would want you to behave at any given moment. Third is refraining from reversing dominion. Now, this one's tough. You know, you may want to and think that you can do a better job than your boss or your able figure, and you might be right. But according to principle, it's always important that instead of trying to reverse it, you find a way to support your current leadership, support your spouse, support all the important relationships and help them be successful. And finally, multiplying goodness, right? I know it's so fun to complain and to gossip, but really it's important to practice original nature. Instead of talking about what's bad about other people, talk about what you like about them. What went well that day? Provide a smile instead of a frown. These are all examples of multiplying goodness. That's a quick review from last week. This week, I wanted to share about the 3 freedom factors. This is personally one of the most important topics that I think is covered in the principle. Most people, especially in America, think that freedom is a right. In one sense, that's true. According to the Declaration of Independence, we are granted by our Creator certain inalienable rights. You guys remember it? It includes life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. However, if you think about it, are we truly free? Do you feel free all the time? Is freedom for free? Well, according to the principle, true freedom is not automatic or guaranteed. It actually has 3 requirements. And if you understand these requirements, you can work towards experiencing greater freedom in your life. So let's start with the definition of freedom. The power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. I'm going to read that again. The freedom. The power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. Now that sounds wonderful at first. I mean, who wouldn't want that? But let's think one step further. What if everyone around you has that same freedom? How does that sound? It actually makes me think about elementary school recess time. It's great for the kids, but for the teachers on duty, It's really crazy. So is it possible for everyone to experience freedom at the same time? Doesn't one person's freedom affect or restrain another person's freedom? How does freedom work most effectively? So in order to understand freedom more clearly, I would like to uncover 3 myths about freedom. I don't know if any of you watch Mythbusters, but we're going to go into 3 myths. And every myth has a partial truth in it. That's why it's a myth. So I want you to pay attention to these. The first myth is that being free means I can do whatever I want. The truth is that although you're free to do what you want, you aren't free to choose the consequences. There are natural physical laws of cause and effect, and there's also spiritual laws of cause and effect called karma. If you do good things come back. If you do bad things happen to you. So if you want to master freedom, you need to understand that freedom without principle is chaos. You know, I may want to drive as fast as I want to, but as I learned a few weeks ago, I get ticketed, right? So again, you can be free to do what you want, but you can't choose the consequences. Let's read. According to the principle, first, there's no freedom outside the principle. Freedom requires both free will and the free actions pursuant to that will. Perfect freedom is achieved when they are in harmony. So there's the free will, which is your original mind's desire towards goodness, and the free actions that follow it. When they're in harmony, then that's where you experience true freedom. Free will is an expression of the mind. The mind of an original sinless person cannot operate outside of the principle. The freedom of a true person never deviates from the principle. So the key point here is that there is no true freedom outside of the principle. In order to be truly free, you need to work within the laws of the universe. Even God himself works within the principles that he set up. Okay, one analogy that might help explain this is that it's like the rules to a game or a sport. You need the basic rules in order for people to be free to play the game and have fun. That actually reminds me of a Calvin and Hobbes comic. I don't know if you guys know it, but anyway, it's a tiger and a little kid. And they decide to play a game where they can change the rules of the game at any time. And it sounded fun at first and very free. But as comics go, it got crazier and crazier until they realized that it wasn't fun anymore. So they stopped playing. So it's kind of like that. You need the rules in order to really have fun and be free to play. For example, there are some fundamental rules in life that are outlined in the 10 Commandments. Let's go through number 6 through 9, such as do not murder. Okay, sounds like a basic rule. The fact that God had to inform the people about it means that people weren't following the rules, right? And in one sense, you can say, yeah, if I don't like somebody, and if I really hate them and I want to get rid of them, I'm free to kill them. Well, that's murder, right? If you do that, you're really playing outside of the rules. If everyone played without rules of no murdering, then this world will truly be chaos, right? Now let's go to this commandment number 7. Do not commit adultery, right? You might think, oh, I want to be free to sleep with whomever I want to. Well, humanity and God figured out that that doesn't work so well, especially if everyone didn't play by those rules. It leads to a lot of trouble, right? So do not commit adultery is one of those key life rules that helps you play the game of life well. Commandment number 8, I believe, is do not steal, right? Again, you might think, oh, I want to be free to have anything I want to. Well, if you do that by stealing instead of earning it, then again, you're playing outside of the rules and your freedom will be restricted. And finally, the ninth commandment has to do with lying or bearing false witness, right? Now, you may think that that doesn't affect me so much, or it might be more convenient to lie. Did you do your homework? Yes. Well, it might be convenient in the moment, but later you'll realize that actually your freedoms will be restricted. Again, these are universal rules about life. And if you learn to work within those rules, you will find greater freedom. So again, to secure freedom, learn the rules of life and play accordingly. Freedom myth number 2. Freedom is for free. It's a right. I don't have to do anything to be free. Actually, the truth is, freedom is a privilege, which is earned through practicing responsibility. Okay? If you want to drive, you need to show that you can do it responsibly. Hence, you need to study, you need to take a test, you need to pass the test and get a license in order to have the freedom to drive. So the truth about freedom is that you actually need to practice responsibility in order to earn your freedom. So if you want to master freedom, you need to understand that freedom without responsibility is foolish. Let's read. Second, there is no freedom without responsibility. Human beings created according to the principle can reach perfection only by fulfilling their responsibility based on their free will. A person pursuing the purpose of creation ceaselessly strives to carry out his portion of responsibility. The key point here is that there is no true freedom without responsibility. For example, let's say I want a beach body. Actually, that's been one of my dreams since I don't know when, but anyway, to have a six-pack, right? It's every guy's dream. But just by wanting it, it doesn't happen, right? I need to actually exercise, eat healthy, instead of being a couch potato in order to have a beach body. Or a lot of people say, I want to be rich, I want to be wealthy, I want to be free to buy whatever I want to. Well, that actually takes a bit of responsibility. You need to study hard, you got to work hard. You got to actually work towards being able to provide value for others in order to earn higher income so that you can actually buy what you want. So instead of binging on Netflix or spending multiple hours playing video games every day, if you really want to have the freedom of being rich and wealthy, you do need to work for it. You need to fulfill responsibility. Or another example, I want a beautiful spouse, or I want a great marriage. Well, if you want that, you need to invest in your relationships. You need to become somebody that a beautiful spouse wants to be with. You need to also develop sexual integrity and practice serving. You need to invest in that marriage if you want it to be great. So if you want to experience the true freedom that comes with these things, then you need to fulfill your own responsibility. So if you want more freedom, take more responsibility in your life. Freedom myth number 3. It's all in the mind. This is something that I think especially religious or spiritual people fall for quite a bit, is that freedom is all in the mind. As long as you think something or believe in something, it's real. The truth is, freedom is incomplete without substantial results. Okay? I can say I'm a Messiah. Actually, anyone can claim they're a Messiah. But you need to back it up with results if you want to claim it, right? Or I can say, Actually, maybe I won't go there. There's a few other examples. Anyway, we'll go into the examples a little bit later. Key point, freedom without accomplishment is delusional. It's just a pipe dream. Let's read. Third, there is no freedom without accomplishment. When human beings exercise freedom and carry out their responsibility, they strive to accomplish results which complete the purpose of creation and bring joy to God. Free will ceaselessly pursues concrete results through free actions. And this is interesting. It actually says that our original mind, our original free will actually naturally seeks accomplishment. It's actually part of original nature to seek some form of substantial results. So the key point is there's no true freedom without concrete results. For example, let's say I want to practice law. Well, then I have to pass the bar exam. Or I want to be an author. Well, I need to publish a book to be able to claim that freedom to claim myself as an author. Or if I want to be the president, I need to be either voted in or appointed in. Of course, these days you can claim yourself you're a president of anything and make your own business card. But again, that's a pipe dream unless you can back it up with result. Or let's say you want to be a millionaire, you want to help save the world. Well, you need some substance. Do you have the funds? If you want to be a philanthropist, you have to actually donate the funds. So all these things, you can have great dreams, but without substantial results, you won't really truly feel free inside. So if you want substantial freedom, back it up with results. There's one more myth that I want to bust about freedom, which is related to the story of the fall. Let's read. Since Eve's heart and intellect were still immature when she was tempted by the angel, she became confused emotionally and intellectually. Although the freedom of her original mind induced in her a sense of foreboding, because the power of love between her and the angel was stronger, she crossed the boundary and fell. So the point I want to highlight here is that you might think that it was freedom that led our first ancestors to fall. You know, they were just being free, and it was their free right to do whatever they pleased. But the truth is, they didn't apply the 3 freedom factors that lead to true freedom, which I kind of outlined before. Both Eve and Adam, they were still immature. They became confused, and then, as it's stated here, the power of unprincipled love led them to the fall. However, if they had applied the principle, the 3 freedom factors, by following the principle, which is, knowing the 3 great blessings that God gave them. Second, fulfill the responsibility by obeying God's commandment not to eat of the fruit, and achieved full maturity, then God would have blessed them in marriage, and they would have experienced true freedom in their love relationship with each other and with God and even the archangel. Unfortunately, they pursued premature freedom without principle, without responsibility, and without accomplishment, and thus led the rest of humanity down a tragic path. Let's continue to read. Due to the fall, human beings became ignorant of God and his heart. This ignorance has rendered the human will incapable of striving toward goals which are pleasing to God. So the tragedy was that because of the fall, we became ignorant of these principles and ultimately ignorant of God's heart. That's why many times we feel distant from God. That's not how we were actually originally designed, but due to the fall, there was a disconnect between our heart and God's heart. So in one sense, due to the fall, we lost our greatest source of freedom, which is being in oneness in heart with God and her love. However, there is hope. Let's continue to read. Since fallen people can also relate with God in freedom, if they follow the words of truth, form a common base, and engage in give and take action with Him, then the power of principled love can revive their original nature. So there's hope. By having give and take with the truth, which includes these 3 freedom factors, which we'll go into in detail, and by strengthening our original mind and heart, the power of this principled love can revive our original nature and lead us to true freedom. Okay, so finally, let's go into how do we apply these 3 freedom factors. I'm going to give you several examples to help you practice them. There are 4 areas of freedom, areas where you can apply these freedom factors. There's physical realm, there's intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. So let's start with thinking about how are you restricted in any of these areas? So physically, do you have any physical restraints? Maybe you're sick, or maybe you're just not so healthy, so you feel restrained. You can't, go on a run or for too long at least, or maybe there's a intellectual barrier or restriction. Maybe you don't know enough to be able to do what you really want in life. Or maybe you feel emotionally restrained. You don't feel free to share how you're feeling with your loved ones. Or how about spiritually restricted? How can we deal with that? Let's read. It is written, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. This is in Corinthians 3:17. This freedom is a freedom of the original mind. So spiritual freedom has to do with your conscience. Is your conscience stricken? Do you feel guilty about something? That means you're not truly free according to your conscience. Or even worse, you might be numb. You don't feel anything, right? Then there's a lot of work to do. But if you want to be truly free, you need to address all of the restrictions to our freedom, both physically, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually, to be completely free. So let's apply the 3 freedom factors plus 1. Okay, so we covered 3 freedom factors, which were the working within the principle, taking responsibility, and gaining accomplishments. I want to add one more, which is to experience joy. And to help you remember it more easily, I made an acronym here, PRAY, P-R-A. I just had to get creative about the last one. So Y is the last letter of joy. So it's not perfect, but it's going to work. So remember, if you want greater freedom, pray. Apply principle, responsibility, accomplishment, and joy, and you will gain freedom, greater freedom in your life. Okay. So for example, let's say you're overweight. Well, I know a few people, well, actually, I'm overweight. So first thing, I got to learn the principles of health, right? And I got to start exercising, eating healthy. These are things that take responsibility, right? I have to actually be careful about what I eat. I started a program called Noom, where I'm learning about health principles and the psychology around eating. And then I gotta actually reach the result that I want. I need to get to 140 pounds in order to really feel free in this area of my fitness and health. Or maybe fit into my dream dress or suit, or be able to run a marathon. Anything that adds that joy factor at the end is going to really add to my sense of freedom, okay? Including my freedom to have bragging rights with my friends. So This is really important. Real example, if you want more freedom around your health, understand the principles of health, take responsibility, set some clear goals and achieve them, and find ways to experience joy in that, you're going to gain tremendous freedom in this area of health. Another common area is, let's say you're scraping by financially. Well, if you want more freedom in the area of finances, then you got to first learn the principles of wealth. Start paying off debt, saving and investing, being responsible with your money. And then have a goal that excites you. That's an achievement. Maybe that's buying a dream house or a dream car. Of course, do this responsibly, not with more debt. And then you'll find freedom, financial freedom. Another common challenge is relationships, right? Let's say you're fighting with your spouse or your children. Well, if you want more freedom, emotional freedom, to be able to relate with your spouse or your children better, then you need to invest in learning about the principles of relationships. Take initiative to take courses, learn about these things. Also take action in restoring the relationship by apologizing, listening, investing your time in that relationship. And then set a goal that excites you, like maybe a dream vacation together, or something where you can make positive memories. You do that, and you will experience dramatic increase in the freedom in your relationships in your family. One final example is career. You might feel stuck. You've been working hard for 5, 10 years in the same job, and it's been pretty much plateaued. Well, if you want more freedom in your career, then you got to take initiative, right? You got to learn more about your industry, or maybe you need to find a new industry to focus on. Take initiative to seek a better job, earn relevant certifications, increase your value to your company. And then you can set a goal that excites you, like securing your dream job, and go for it. If you do that, you will experience tremendous freedom in this area of career. One time I did experience this myself. I remember when I was working as a CARP president, national president, I was doing a lot to expand the program and even raising more funds for the organization. I think I doubled or tripled the funding for it. And I was feeling really good. And I went to the board and I said, hey, I did all this thing. I think I need a raise. Unfortunately, or fortunately at that time, maybe it was fortunate, they declined. They said no. They said no. They said no to me. Basically, they said that there's a cap in how much they feel they should compensate the executive. And so at first I was so frustrated. This was my passion. I wanted to contribute, but I felt limited in my financial earning power by working in CARP, which is a collegiate association for research of principles. It's like the campus arm of Family Federation. So anyway, instead of moaning and complaining about it, which I did do that for a while, I decided to take initiative. I started to learn about coaching, which is an area that I was interested in at that time. I got certified. I asked if I could take a day off a week to focus on that side hustle. And I was able to really build on that and not depend on my nonprofit job as my only source of income. And that actually gave me not just more financial freedom, but also in my leadership and ability and intellectual growth and learning. It really contributed. So again, don't let your circumstances restrict you. Apply these principles of learning the principles around that area, taking responsibility, achieving, and experiencing joy, and you will experience greater freedom in your life. Okay, so let's let's go to the summary. There are 3 myths about freedom. Those are, I can do whatever I want, freedom is for free, and freedom is all in the mind. The fall happened due to Adam and Eve's immaturity and unprincipled love. And they could have avoided it if they had applied the 3 freedom factors, which was following the principle, taking responsibility, and achieving maturity. And there are these 3 factors plus 1 that can increase your freedom. And the acronym is PRAY. Again, they are principle, following the principle, taking responsibility, accomplishment, and joy. So without these factors, freedom can lead to chaos, foolishness, delusion, and purposelessness. So, in conclusion, as a heavenly parent, God wants each of us to experience true freedom. In fact, that's what God wanted from the very beginning for our first ancestors. But in order for us to access true freedom, God took a risk by giving us a portion of responsibility. Unfortunately, our earliest ancestors failed in that responsibility, but fortunately, God never gave up on us and has continually guided us back to our original potential through providential figures like Jesus and our true parents, Father and Mother Moon, who revealed these truths and principles behind freedom. Ultimately, that's what we want, including God, to experience true freedom, all within true love. And that is where, actually, it's within the realm of true love that we can experience the greatest freedom. May God bless you and your family this week. Thank you very much.